Welcome to another edition of the In the Paint Show, episode 166. Another season of the In the Paint Show. We've been off for a little while, but I'm glad to have you guys back. Season 6, episode 1. Can't believe we've been on 6 years. I know you guys have been with me for a couple. I really appreciate you guys jumping back on. And how's everything going, Ani? How's everything going, Chelsea?
Man, everything's good. We're back, man. We had a little hiatus, but I'm happy to see y'all. Happy back on the show. You know, we got a lot to talk about, so I'm ready to dig in. How you been, Chelsea?
Yeah, I missed you guys. I mean, we had a little break, but the band is back together, and I'm just ready to get these hot topics going and talk some basketball with you guys.
For sure. Yeah, we're gonna change a little bit here on our podcast. That's why we kind of took a break. Obviously, we were getting ready for the new school year, but we're just gonna get more into our topics, kind of more lay our topics out, meaning we're not going to freestyle as much and just talk about general basketball items. We're going to hit actual topics and themes and kind of stick to them, maybe be on a little bit less longer than we used to be, not as much just freestyling, talking about whatever. And that's okay. Once in a while, we'll, have a free-flowing topic. We may make sure you check out our In the Paint Shorts page. We'll start promoting that on our various social media platforms. Again, we'll promote it to exactly what we're doing. We're going to hit just some topics, get into it like Chelsea said. We're not going to talk so much about just general, what's the latest in the news. We kind of know you guys get that in a million different topics. So we're going to stick to the grassroots high school space a lot, and we're going to throw in some overseas things and some topics that we're in our expertise. Chelsea, Ani, what do you guys feel about that? Obviously, again, people get their information from all over, but we kind of just want to stick with certain topics. And since we've been away, what's been the latest and greatest in basketball? Again, new school year's coming up, but we kind of wanted to talk about, the ending of the summer as we get into the fall.
No, absolutely, Ronnie. I just think we're keeping the main thing. You guys are certainly the grassroots experts, and I just kind of get in where I fit in. But I love the direction of our show. We take the feedback of our listeners and the people that join us often, and we just want to give you guys what you want. So, we're going to hone in on a lot of things that are important, but obviously the grassroots space is, what we do best.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm with you. I'm cool with I'm good with the direction that we at. Excited. Obviously, grassroots, like me and you, Ronnie, like, that's what we do, like, every day. Like, I just got done running the camp, dealing with 85 kids. But I'm just excited about direction. I'm excited about anything we do or we talk about because it's always fun. It don't matter. We could talk about baseball. It's still going to be an entertaining show. So whatever direction we go, I'm good. I'm low maintenance.
Yeah, definitely. Again, we'll have our takes about various topics if things happen. So much has happened, in the last few months. So we wanted to definitely give our hot takes about a few items. We hope that, everybody's okay out there. It's been just like a crazy month. Fires, earthquake. The world is a lot going on. But I know, Chelsea, we wanted to jump into some hot takes. Just give us an update on what's going on in the WNBA. And as we head toward the postseason, obviously the season goes real fast in the summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the WNBA, this has been an excellent season. Super competitive from top to bottom. New York Liberty recently this week just won the Commissioner's Cup. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but that is the in-season tournament of the WNBA. The NBA is implementing one of their own this season. But the WNBA format is a little different. They play a series of games, and the teams with the two best records will meet. So the New York Liberty met on the Aces home floor. Aces have been ranked the number one team since the beginning of the season, and New York came in there with the upset, I guess you can say. Not really upset if you're familiar with the teams because New York has a lot of talent. Everybody kind of expected them to be there, just like we expect them to meet in the championship a few months from now. But yeah, New York won for the first time. The Aces took a loss on their home floor this year.
Wow.
So the Aces were undefeated at home. The Commissioner's Cup technically does not count against a regular season record. So it's not a regular season game per se. But yeah, that was their first loss. And then they actually followed that loss up with a loss on Saturday to the Sparks. So now we are looking at New York at the top of the power rankings. They come in at 28-4. The Aces to number 2, even though they still have the best record at 25-7. And we have 3 playoff spots locked in. Aces, New York Liberty, Connecticut Sun, 3 of 8 teams that are for sure going to be in the playoffs. And the rest of the bottom is kind of wide open. It's a super tight race, dogfight to the finish. All those teams are within 1 or 2 games of each other, and we have 8 regular season games left. So it's going down to the wire, guys.
Yeah. Real quick, Chelsea, Aliyah Boston. Seems like every time I put on the TV or watch, she's balling. Is any other, real quick, on a hot take, any other rookie even coming close to Aliyah Boston right now?
No, Aliyah Boston is the clear front runner for Rookie of the Year. She was the first-time All-Star. She's pretty much shattered every record that you can kind of think of in terms of just post play and efficiency and shooting percentage. The list goes on and on. She's not on the best team, but her team has been way more competitive since she's been there. They won, I believe, 4 games total last year, and they're already at 7 or 8 now with a couple games remaining. So, they're not going to probably see the playoffs, which is okay. But she's been exceptional, and everybody knows that she is going to be the Rookie of the Year.
Makes sense. Ani. And can anybody, real quick, like Aliyah Boston, is anybody going to mess with Wemby this upcoming NBA season? Or is he just going to be ahead? And plus, he's going to get the ball that San Antonio is going to give him, try to get him involved.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a little bit closer race than what Aliyah Boston's dealing with right now. You got Chet Holmgren, who, sat out this year. So, I mean, even though Oklahoma has pieces like Shea and Giddey, and even Jalen Williams is really just coming along. He may actually become the second best player for the Thunder. I still think Chet's still going to give him some problems. After Chet, I wouldn't be surprised like if Keontae George is in the mix. I see him filling in that 2 spot with Utah. He's a high volume type scorer, so he'd be in the mix. I think it's not going to be as wide open, there's not going to be as much of a distance with Wemby. Wouldn't be surprised if there's some low management with him, as we know the Spurs. That's kind of the team that's implemented that. And I think with how the NBA awards go, Ronnie, you have to play a certain amount of games. So we got to see if Wemby plays those amount of games to still get qualified to win that award. So I still think that rookie race is wide open, even though Wemby had a really good second game. I am interested to see what he does as far as how many games he plays. I know he's going to get the touches, but how efficient he is, and some of these other rookies, that are going to start or play major minutes, what their roles are going to look like, because it's going to change. From October to December, you're going to have your early Rookie of the Years, but then you're going to have like Jalen Williams that came on like December, January, like later on into the season. So I think it's going to be wide open this year.
No doubt. Yeah, this, like you said, the summer going by fast. Obviously, guys are playing. What do you guys think about just in these open runs, people keeping stats? This guy had 32 points, 14 rebounds. It's like we're just playing pickup ball, and they're all over. Obviously, Rico Hines runs are real popular at UCLA, but there's a lot of them, and I see a lot of video. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, didn't someone say like KD posted 40 points or something at the open run? Like, I don't get it. Like those guys in open runs, are working on things that they're trying to build on for the upcoming season. So like, guys ain't really playing. Not that they're not playing defense, but they're trying to really work on their offensive repertoire, like trying to expand their skill set more than focusing on if they can keep a man in front of them. And it's open runs. Like, I mean, I can go to the gym right now and drop 30. Like, you want me to post that? Like what does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know. The meaning.
What do you think? I know when you were playing, you did a few open runs and stuff like that in pro-ams, but like,
we never kept stats.
Yeah,
and like you said, as a professional, like I'm working on things in those runs. Like it's already hard to get a group of girls together anyway. Most of the times, our runs had a lot of college players, not so much like high level pros or whatever, the ones that we were able to, get together in Vegas. But yeah, I'm working on certain things that I want to, be able to incorporate into my game whenever I have my next game. So nobody's really caring about stats. Nobody's really, going balls out defensively. It's really just, having some bodies to sharpen the skill set. And that's really it. So the stats is just like insane. And it means absolutely nothing. And we see how social media tricks us every summer. Every summer we saw Ben Simmons shooting jumpers, and then we don't ever see it in a real game. So come on.
Yeah. A lot of social media has changed a lot, in the last few months. We're finding new ways to again promote the podcast as we kind of transition to a new season. I can't believe it's been 6 seasons now, but like you said, even Twitter is like changed. We things don't come in order. You see all these just the same things that happened yesterday or 2 days ago, and it's not really what's current. So we'll see how all that goes, and it kind of translates to the sporting world and the basketball world. You see things, and it's like, wait a minute, is that real? Whereas compared to maybe 5 years ago, when you looked on Twitter or you looked on your social media, it was coming in like in real time or in order, chronological order, and it kind of made sense. I don't know. It seems like some of this stuff just doesn't make as much sense no more. I don't know if you guys think about that. Like when you look on your feeds, it's like, is this even real anymore? Like, what do you guys think about that real quick?
Well, first off, when it comes to my feeds, I don't know why I get half the things I see on my feeds.
Yeah, you're not following those people.
Right. I'm not following like half the people I see on my feeds. But no, I agree with you. It's like, is this really going on? Are we really talking about this, or this even discussion? I mean, I think I saw something about James Harden's better than Dwayne Wade. I was just looking at this before. I was even like, before we got on, I'm like, man, like, I don't know. It's just wild. I see a lot of things. I just see a lot of things. So I'm with you. It just crazy takes, but it's just wild. What do you think, Chelsea?
I think, especially with social media and Twitter or X or whatever it's called now, like there's so many parody accounts too. Like, I don't know if you guys heard recently when Austin Reeves was doing his interview, and they mentioned to him that Chris Paul got traded to the Warriors. He was like, "Are you reading from Barstool Sports on Twitter or something? That's a fake page. That's not real." So like, there's so much misinformation and so much things that are being put out there that it is hard to determine, what's real and what's fake. And I'm okay with the takes. Ani mentioned like James Harden, Wade. Like, I think that makes sports fun when you have an open dialogue of people just giving their opinion, whether it's an outlandish opinion or not. But I think the misinformation and just, the stuff that we are seeing that really isn't true is what, kind of crosses wires and makes things difficult.
Correct. And that's kind of why we're revamping a little bit. We took a little time off. Obviously, I was out of town. I went to Greece. Ani, you've been running events. So we want to kind of regroup, but we kind of want to keep it straight to the point. So the last hot take we're going to do is, Chelsea, you mentioned it's hard to get girls together on the runs. I wanted to ask you about the Aces alumni kind of gathering celebration. Obviously, you're part of it because you played for the San Antonio Silver Stars, which became the Aces. How many girls were there? Just give us a highlight of why it's so good and why don't other teams do it, or where do other teams lack where the Aces don't?
Yeah, so the Aces put on this incredible event this weekend in which they had about 55 former players of the franchise. So that includes women of the Utah Stars, which is where the franchise originated. Then it went to the San Antonio Silver Stars, which is where I played in 2013. And then it became the Aces just a few years back, I think 6 years ago, maybe. Sure. So Mark Davis, as the owner, he's just really invested in just this group of women and what the WNBA is doing and what he's trying to accomplish with his team. So this is the 3rd or 4th year that he's hosted this event. Basically flew all of these ladies in. We all had a room at the Wynn. He had a great group of events, us touring the Aces new practice facility, formal dinner. He gave us actually pendants that were replicas of the rings that the Aces received after winning their championship this year. He just really believes that, the cornerstones of the franchise and just people that have kind of paved the way or even built the way. And, for a player like me who honestly just played with San Antonio on a couple 10-day contracts. Then play a full season with them, limited minutes with them, limited games with them, to just be recognized for my small contribution. I think that's huge. And I think, a lot of organizations could kind of take a page out of Mark's book, and he's really honing in on ways to grow the league. So he wants to pull from, women that were in the league previously to just kind of have those women be available to mentor the girls that are currently in the league and keep the league going in the right direction. Now, speaking of these other teams, the main difference is that Mark Davis is a billionaire. So, I mean, he has yeah, I think a lot of WNBA teams would maybe like to do, some events like this, but Mark Davis is a billionaire. He, built the Aces an incredible practice facility of their own, which they're the only team in the league that have their own practice facility. He does things like this where he's pouring his kind of own money, and it's nothing for him. It's a tax write-off for him. It's like absolutely nothing to maybe spend $500,000 bringing 55 girls out and buying us all tickets. I definitely think that teams would try to get on board with this and maybe want to do something like this in the future, but it's difficult because it does cost money. I really just appreciate that Mark Davis is, graciously, doing these things, because it is a big deal, and it's a big deal for Las Vegas, me being a Vegas native, and the girls here in our community that are, just looking forward to the Aces and kind of watching everything that they do.
No doubt. Yeah, exactly. Obviously he comes from the background of the NFL, so he has big money, and his dad, a funny story. His dad Mark Davis' dad, Al Davis, didn't let him fly on the plane with the Raiders when he was younger together. They never traveled together, Mark and Al Davis. He goes, boy, if this plane goes down, who's going to run this team? I don't want somebody else to be. Hey, like you said, he's got big money. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's a crazy story. But yeah, he never let him on the team playing with the Raiders, because he goes, if we all go down, I need you to run this team. So it's pretty interesting. So let's get into our, topic. We're going to just jump right into it, which is obviously a scouting report.
Yeah. So scouting report for today's episode. That's what we're going to focus on. Just the stock risers of the summer in terms of grassroots basketball, people that improved their stocks and people that absolutely dominated. So I want to get this going with you guys and kind of just going to ask you guys straight up, like, who were your stock risers of the summer? We can start with you, Ronnie. Give me a name of somebody who really impressed you and how you think they improved their game.
No doubt. Obviously, it was a great summer, and we saw a lot. Again, we took some time off, and I was able to get out of town for a little while and kind of regroup. But I'll do a top three, and I think Ani will do a top three.
Mm-hmm.
And my number one guy as far as stock risers, again, it doesn't matter where they were before. I like Team Thrill's Tyler Jackson, 6'2", 225 guard from St. Francis Academy. I just thought he was their catalyst and is strong in every aspect of the game. A steady performer. And you know me, I like guys with tight handles, not loose handles. He has a tight handle, can stop on a dime. Just with him, I just think his approach, Chelsea and Ani, is just kind of like a Baltimore kid. He doesn't back down and takes a serious approach to the game. He really wants to excel. So that's my first guy.
So Tyler Jackson, real quick, Ani. Tyler Jackson, they have him ranked as the 4th national point guard by 247 Sports. Can you see Jackson possibly moving up in the future? Do you think that he is maybe on the same level as the 3 guys that are ahead of him? What's your take on that?
Yeah, well, according to 247, if you got Darius Acuff, who's now at IMG Academy, Boozer, and Brown Jr. Yeah, I definitely think he can play with those guys. Again, I'm not thinking of an order right now, but I will say Boozer's meaning Caden Boozer's getting really good. So, and he has got a lot of size, a lot of savvy to him. But I think Tyler is in that group. Will he pass them or one of them? I don't know. I don't think he's a top 5 player, but I think he's a top 10 player. Okay. And I just think he had a great summer, and I'm not ready to say yet he's better than those guys, but he's in those guys' range. I just think you got to reward him for how well he played.
Nice. Okay, Ani, give me your number one stock riser of the summer.
Yeah, before we go, mine, Tyler Jackson. I really do like that pick. Ronnie, really big time scoring guard. I know he's taking an official visit to LSU. Just kind of get some notes on that as well. For me, is Jaden Quaintance. He's a kid. I think he's at overtime elite, or he may be at Word of God. I think he may. I don't know what he's announced what he's going to do, but he's going 224. He's originally a 225 kid, and he's very young. I think he's still he'll graduate at 17 years old. About 6'9", long arms, above 7 foot, rebounds, block shots, dunks everything, has good touch around the rim. He had a really good summer with that team that was very impressive. I thought was the best big man in the NBPA Top 100 camp in Orlando. Finished out strong in July. Just a kid with a lot of upside. The mid-range shootings there. I saw him attempt some threes. Obviously, that's not a strength of his. And wherever he goes to college, he's going to have to keep building on that. But he's someone that has real upside as a mid-range and three-point shooter down the road. But just as a shot blocker, help side rim protector, and finisher, he just does those things. He just has all the qualities of a potential pro. And when he gets of age, when he's 19, 20, 21, I think we're going to really be like, okay, we'll see him on those draft boards, and he'll be a lottery pick. I think he's projected to be a lottery pick. Obviously, a lot of things can change, but he's my number one guy. Just as a stock riser, especially for someone to class up and then be top 10 in that class in 224, that's tough. Like most guys that class up, they may drop some, but he stayed in around that same range going 224.
Nice. So, Ani, do you think age really plays a factor in terms of, you talked about him being a potential pro. Do you think just NBA scouts are really intrigued by these guys that are really of age, or, sometimes we see people that have, reclassed and maybe they're an older 2024, 2025 kid. How do you think that's going to play into, his success later on down the line, the fact that he will be 17 when he finishes high school?
Yeah, I think scouts look at it, they look at age. It's one of the components, right? But they're going to look at the size, length, and just the feel and skill. Obviously all those things are just all have to be or part of the ingredients, right? But with him is he has size, he's younger, so he has time to develop, right? If he was someone that goes to college at 20 years old, which like a post-grad kid, then it's going to be like, okay, what is his upside looking like? How many years in college does he need? Does he need another 2-3 years in college and to get to the league at 23? This is a kid that can go to the NBA at 19. And that, for an NBA team, you're like, okay, I still got this window with him for him to grow and develop these things. The older they get, it's just a little harder. Now they're like, okay, are they more what they are? And if they are just like this type of kid or this type of player, can we just build into that and know we're only going to get an efficient maybe 5 to 6 years out of him compared to maybe I can get 10 really good years out of him. It's just a lot. It's a lot of those things, but age is a component because an older guy, how much they're going to look at how much are you going to develop them. But then that just goes into the intel, how much of a workhorse is that kid? How coachable is that kid? What's his background like? Then you kind of go into all those little things.
Gotcha. Okay. So Ronnie, give me your number 2.
Yeah. My number 2 kid in the top 3 would be Rob Wright, point guard, who's from Philadelphia, who's now going to Montverde Academy as a senior. He's 224. I didn't have him number 1 at the Pangos camp, but I easily could have. I just think he plays the game just so well, like in terms of his poise and feel. It's almost like he's played in college already, and he's coming down to show everybody how to play. In other words, if he's had college coaching already, he's that under control. Like I said, he was good at the NBA Players Camp. Not sure, maybe Ani could attest to it if he was just as good as he was at Pangos.
Yes.
Smooth and no wasted motion. I like the fact that he elevates his teammates, elevates the play of others, and regardless of where he's ranked, I don't think he's ranked high enough, Ani. Just straight up.
So how do you think that he was able to kind of establish himself and stand out amongst the top talent in these camps? I know you spoke about just his poise and his pace, but if you could just kind of pinpoint one thing that really just kind of set him apart from the pack, what would it be?
I think what sets him from the pack is just how under control he is. The maybe lack of bad turnovers. You've seen camp plays like even a really great player has silly plays at times, bad shots, bad looks, throwaway balls, but he didn't really do that. He knows how to keep his dribble in tight spaces and reset plays that are not there, doesn't get rattled. I think that if you're a college, I'm getting a little congested. If you're a college coach, you want that type of guy to run your team. You feel good about him giving him the keys to your program.
And you had a chance to view this kid as well, Ani. Any additional thoughts you want to add on him and his performance?
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy that Baylor out of Waco, Texas, got a kid from Philly. That's that. And I say that because it's everything Ronnie said. He's that talented. He's that good. Like he impacts winning with his passing and scoring. Like it's not like the scoring is better than the passing. Like the passing and the scoring is elite. And I ain't gonna lie. Like I'm still surprised that he got out of that area. He's not at a Villanova or something like that. That's more of my whole thing. Like he's a really good player. I agree with Ronnie. He's a breakout player and he's gonna have a really good college career. I mean, if he was 6'3", 6'4", we're talking he's a one and done. Like that's that's how good he is.
He is. Okay. Well, give me your number 2.
For me, it's VJ Edgecombe. This is the kid. He goes to Lehigh in New York, and man, about 6'5". He's a athletic wing that gets downhill. He can defend. He has I like his he just got a lot of swagger to him. Like when he plays and he scores, he's gonna let you know. He's gonna let you know he's gonna lock you up, and he does it. Was a kid that last year at this time no one really knew about. I first time saw him in September at a John Lucas camp, right? And I said, yeah, I think he has a high major chance, right? Because I just saw him in a camp setting, right? I would not think that at this a year later that now I'm saying, okay, this kid is fighting to be a top 3 to 5 player in the country in 224. So he just gets a lot done. It doesn't look sexy, not really, but he just makes athletic plays. He's a better shooter than people first perceive, and he can do some things off the dribble. Kind of gives me some shades of like some Victor Oladipo type, like a younger one, obviously pre-injury type. Just someone at his size that can play the 2, that's actually capable of playing the 1 more. I think there's some real upside as a 1 because he can actually see the play and he can make some passes. Obviously, some things needs to polish up, but go from a kid that no one knew about a year ago to now you're a top 3 player in the top 3 to 5 player in the country. And obviously, before Cooper Flagg classed up to 224, he was, there was some NBA scouts talking about, is he the number 1 player in 224? Oh. So like that's how much of a jump he's made in a year.
Well, that's incredible. If he can continue to trend that way, the NBA is definitely heading in a direction where they're looking for long athletic wings. So can you see that maybe in his future based off of what you've seen, the progress he's made in a year? Ani, does he give NBA prospect to you a couple years down the line?
Yeah, he definitely does. I think he's a legitimate NBA prospect in that 224 class. Obviously, a lot can. You're talking about that 225. That's when he'll be draft eligible. So a lot can happen. But just from a skill athleticism standpoint, and just seeing where he's progressed a year ago, a year from now, like a year ago, like what does he look like 2 years from now? Right? Can he really get his handle and playmaking together where now he's someone that you look at as like a 2-1 combo? I think he can do that. I think he's someone that is a NBA prospect, but you still got to see how the playmaking and how his offensive game polishes up. Because defensively, I think he can hold his own. But is he at 6'4", 6'5"? Are you a 2-3 in the NBA? That's where you got to be that dynamic of a scorer, like a Bradley Beal type, and that's not really him. So I think you got to be more like a Oladipo, who's more of a 2, but also can play the 1. And so that's more the prototype that I put him in.
Got you. Okay, I like that. Ronnie, give me your third stock riser.
Yeah, the third guy Again, we could have gone in a lot of directions. I'll say Jalil Bethia, another Pennsylvania guy, Archbishop Wood, and basically in the Philadelphia area in the Catholic League. One of the best offensive talents in the country. I thought he had a terrific summer for team final, which is on the EYBL. This guy went from a top 100 player in 12 months to maybe a top 10 player. Big time schools are on him. Syracuse, Alabama, Kansas, Miami, Villanova. That seems to be his 5. Maybe Ani can talk a little bit more about his trips. And then I think Duke and Kentucky are even trying to jump in there.
Yeah.
But so again, the kid can really offensively, he's really dynamic. But yeah, Ani, what do you know a little bit about his recruiting? Because it seems like he's made his top 5, but like some real heavies are trying to get in there.
Yeah, some of the blue bloods can really get in. I know. Last I heard, I know John Shire is trying to get in there, make him more of a priority.
Wow.
Kentucky them. So he has a top 5, but those traditional blue bloods, that if they make him a priority, they can really sneak in there and get in. But again, like Ronnie, you said before, like top 5 to me, when people put their top 5 or top 8, like I don't take that for real until they tell me top 2.
Not with the NIL, not in the NIL era.
Right, like anyone can come in. So yeah, last I heard Duke was gonna get in there. That's John Shire was looking to get in there and try to see if he can get in.
The reason I say that, I know because again, like you said, Ani, with Rob Wright, like going to Baylor, it's kind of an eye opener, and then for a kid from Archbishop Wood or for the Catholic League, for him to have like Syracuse fans really want him to be in Syracuse. So like when you hear Duke jump in, it's like, oh boy. We'll see. But yeah, I know we're talking a lot about his recruitment. Like he really had a great summer.
Yeah, absolutely he did.
Talk a little bit, Ronnie, about you labeled this kid one of the best offensive talents in the country. So just talk a little bit about his skill set. What makes him so dynamic?
Yeah, I just think he can score inside out. He's just a strong wing body, really good shooter. Can score from various points on the floor. I think he has just a nice game in terms of under control, like you want from a steady 2 guard. He's not super spectacular. He's not a lot of feast or famine. I just think he gives you steady performances, and he has a strong frame and looks like a ready college player. That he looks like a guy who could come in and contribute right away.
Yeah.
Nice. Anything to add, Ani?
No, Ronnie hit it right on the head with that.
Okay, so give me your third, Ani. Let's round this up.
I think Billy Richmond, that goes to Camden, New Jersey, 6'5" wing. He's another kid that I got to see him in Atlanta and Dallas EYBL sessions. And I was like, and this was before I think people started saying, hey, he could be a Mickey D's level player. In the past, he was just more like just a downhill wing. Now he's showing more like he's flashing more of the handle, creating. Defensively, he's a monster. Like, can guard multiple positions. He's one of the best perimeter defenders in his class. And he's expanded his game. He's someone that, again, like probably like a 75 to 100 kid from a skill and talent perspective, and from a traditional class. I know people talk about the 224 class not being as great as normal, but 75 to 100 level talent. And now we're talking about him being a Mickey D's player. He's really expanded his game. I would like to see more of the handle, all right, and just the playmaking. I'm big on, feel and skill and stuff like that, and I think he's getting better. And it's going to be a big season for him, especially out there. There's no DJ Wagner, right? So he's going to be more. He's going to be more the focal point on the offense end. So I think the school year is going to be big for him. But he had a really good summer, just showing more versatility at the guard spot.
It's crazy, just what a year can do. I'm a big fan of the late bloomers. Like I really like a kid that just kind of comes out of nowhere, and it seems like you guys give a great. Not that these kids have come out of nowhere, because a lot of them are already top recruits, but just ones that are just showing how a year can just take their game to the next level and keep improving, because that's kind of what's going to be important for college, and I'm sure a lot of these kids have aspirations of playing in the NBA as well. Speaking of the NBA, we already know there is some guys this summer that are on the NBA's radar. I want to switch over a little bit just to your guys' 3 best players of the summer. So we talked about stock risers, guys that improved. Now let's get down to the people that are kind of surefire NBA players and guys that we know are going to make that leap pretty soon. Ronnie, I'll start with you. Give me your number 1 overall best player this summer.
Gotcha. I'll just run through my 3 guys, if you don't mind. Yeah, I'll just go through the 3 guys. And again, we have some obvious guys, I think, that are out there that we've talked about. Obviously, the National Player of the Year from last year is back, and he was only a sophomore. So my 3 guys, I'm going to go a little different because, again, I'm not counting those guys, and I'll give my reasons why. So I'm going to go Derek Queen, who's at Montverde Academy. I thought he was the best player this summer. Again, is he the best player in the country? I'll go on record say no, but I just thought he was the best player this summer. Okay. And then say that again.
Like just in totality, like just over the whole summer, you just thought he put the best springer performances together. Okay.
Yeah. I just thought he had the best performances to put himself in a category to be a top 3 or 4 player. Flory Badunga, who's on the Adidas Team Indiana, Kokomo, Indiana, 224. Again, it's nice to see him and Derek. They're kind of back to the basket players, true back to the basket players. It's nice to see that those guys are like in the top 5. They're like literally 2 of the 4 best players, I thought. Flory really goes to work inside and doesn't really do anything he isn't capable of. I think that's what we see a lot of sometimes in the summer. Guys kind of, we mentioned a little earlier, they take wild shots. They try different things. So it's nice to see he just sticks to what he knows. And then I'll go back to Rob Wright. So I'll say Derek Queen 1, Flory 2, Rob Wright 3. And I just think Derek Queen, again, his team was kind of favored to win the UAA Under Armour. They lost in the semifinals, but they came back at that event we went to, Ani, the Sports Raider Showdown. Mm-hmm. They beat that team, Middlesex Magic, then they lost to. They won the event, which included Adidas teams, and then they won a showcase game against, the team from Florida, the Nike team, our guy Steve Reese's team. I call them Each One Teach One. I know that's not the name of their team no more, but they won that team, beat that team. So I just think he deserves credit for the summer he had. So those are my top 3.
I like that. Let's hear your list, Ani. You can run down your 3 as well.
My list was the original 1, 2, and 3 of the 225 classes. One of my favorite classes. Is Cooper Flagg of Montverde, who's now 224. Cameron Boozer, who's staying in 225 at Columbus in Florida. And Darren Peterson, 6'5", combo. Really like combo at now he's at Huntington Prep in West Virginia. Cooper, obviously, we've talked about him in the past, finished strong at Peach Jam, did a really good job, as a 6'8" wing, can score the basketball, really more efficient as a mid-range scorer and pull-up guy, but he does a lot of things defensively, like rebound. He can switch and defend. He can block shots like crazy, and he's one of the best shot blockers. He is the best shot blocker in the country. And that says a lot when, Ronnie talking about Flory Badunga, right, who blocks everything, but just his feel as a shot blocker is crazy for Coop. I think his ability to impact winning in so many ways and how hard he plays makes him, to me, the best player in there in the summer. Even though people talk about him playing 16s, I do think even on 17s, he was still going to be fine. He's a really special talent. He's someone that, everything comes out right. He'll be, right now, I think in 225 draft, they have him ranked number 1 in the NBA draft, and I can see that. But long ways away. We'll always, a lot of things can change, but he's been the best player for me in the summer. Number 2 is Cameron Boozer, about 6'9", 6'10". He's your power forward that you just love to have. Gives me a lot of Paulo Banchero vibes, but a little bit more polished in high school, especially at the same time. But I would say maybe a lot more at the same time, just because he can really shoot the ball. He's efficient. I mean, when you see Cameron Boozer put up stats, there's no 11 for 25 from the field. It's all 11 for 14, 8 from the free throw line. 12 rebounds, 3 from 3. You know what I'm saying? Like, just super efficient. He fits that what the NBA and just anybody wants from a power forward, the college level, whatever. Like, he fits that perfectly. You just, even Ronnie, you saw him at section 7. Like, I mean, he was
dominated.
He just dominated that. I mean, Columbus has a chance, down the, this season be the #1 team in the country, really just off him. They got a lot of pieces, but I mean, he's the focal point. So I think he's been, he's arguably the top in that summer, but I have him number 2. And number 3, I had Darren Peterson. Just his consistency throughout. Like, every time I saw him, he was very productive. He's someone that plays on the ball comfortably, can play make, which I think that's what he's improved on, is his playmaking this past year. People knew him as a scorer, but he's someone that I seen drop 40, but it wasn't that he was chucking. It was that he kept the defenses honest by, advancing the ball, by, reading double teams and getting into the open man, by just feeding the roll man and pick and roll stuff, which allowed him to get open shots, within his 40 points. And I think just seeing that consistently, especially from a junior guard, rising junior guard, that's why I have a number 3. And he's another one that I feel that could, make it to the NBA. And, I know people talk about, people try to do early projections at 24. People talk a little, tiny bit about 25. But for me, I'm looking at that 26 class from a draft perspective. I think that is going to be like a loaded group of guys. So, yeah. So that's my top 3.
Well, all great players. I'm excited to see kind of, how things work out in the future, especially with, Cooper reclassing. And now he's 2024. So I think, that's going to move the board around a little bit. But, all these players had a good summer. And, that's kind of what we do here, is just hone in on the prospects and follow their progress. So it'll be interesting to see where these guys, if they continue to rise, as you guys said, they, improve their play in the summer, or if things happen, next summer.
Yeah, things can change. Chelsea, you mentioned that, and I didn't want to throw Cooper and Boozer in my top, because honestly, when you look back at it 15 years from now, like 10 years from now, Cooper going to be in the NBA, Boozer's going to be there. They're going to be probably starters, probably maybe even all-stars. It's just going to be like, because Cooper moved up, and we did mention that in one of the last pods, that he was probably going to move up to 224. And it's like he never played 17s. I'm going to say the kid never played 17. So when you look at like a Brandon Jennings, Bernardo Sidney, or Alonzo Mourning, whoever you want to talk about, like, I don't think he's going to be with those guys, because like they never played 17. It was almost like them playing 16s was a sideshow. It was like awesome, but it was like, oh God, it just kind of like, from the bigger perspective, and I get why they did it. They got teammates that need to be showcased. They don't want to break up their teammates, I'll play 17 when some of them are not ready for 17s. But real quick, what did you think of those 2 or 3 games they played like in 2 weeks against each other? They played at Peach Jam, then they played like
and MVP
back and played it again, and then they, what did you think about those games?
Yeah, when they went at each other in MVPA, I thought Boozer really had the edge on that. I thought that was fairly noticeable, to be honest with you. Yeah. Camp, in his MVPA camp, as great as it is, it's still camp, right? Yeah. But like, I thought Boozer, he was clearly better than him at that game. And then you go into that Peach Jam game. I thought Coop outplayed him. Obviously, their team won. But when you look at the 2 scenarios, like MVPA camp, there's more like sharing the basketball. Yeah. You have other high level players around you, so like you got to be more strategic at how you get your shots, right? Those 2 is a little bit of an outlier, but they still you're working with other high major guys. Where Peach Jam, I mean, Ace Fly's a good player. You got some other Division I guys at Man United, but Cooper ignites damn near everything. So like he has more chances, where Boozer can do that, but he has probably 3 or 4 other high major guys on that team. So that's like
17U team.
Yeah, so they're like a 17U team. So he got to share more of the wealth, but I still thought Coop played with more of like a edge about him. Like, you know, he didn't forget what happened in Orlando. You could just tell, and he really came at Cam. And Cam was just like, okay, I'm just going to do what I've been doing. But Coop has to do more with that Man United group to win than Cam does with that Knight Riders group.
No doubt. Yeah, you know, good wrap up of the summer. We're just going to switch gears here a little bit and talk about overseas. You know, obviously we're going to once in a while talk to an overseas player. We're going to just kind of mention the game overseas. Chelsea obviously has a lot of experience in that regard, and we're going to get some people's feedback. But for this segment, I actually was in Greece at the Pangos All-Euro Camp, so we'll jump into that. Yeah, so Ani, you know, went over there obviously to kind of wrap up the summer. It was a good getaway. I had been to Adidas Euro Camp, which, you know, before COVID, Dino Dragonis decided to do like expand his Pangos brand into Europe. So it was kind of like a showcase event. And the great thing about it was there was about 60 players, but there was 16 countries represented. So as we were traveling there, the kids were also traveling there. So it's a little different than having a camp like in Dallas or Houston, where 80% of the kids are a drive away. You know what I mean? So those kids had to get there too. So that was, you know, something that's like probably taking into consideration how they felt. Their first camp like that, and it was a big age range from 20 years old to 14 years old.
Oh wow!
So, yeah, big age range.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you know, because we're not denying kids like, oh no, you know,
right.
You know, like kids are coming from all over. So Paris, France. Again, I'm just going down some of the lists: Lithuania, Serbia, Netherlands, Finland, Denmark, Italy, Macedonia, England. You know, again, we're just all over the place. So good talent level overall, not extravagant talent level. Again, with 60 players, maybe if it was bigger, and again, we'll see if he does it again next year, how that's going to work and if it's going to grow. But I think we wanted to talk a little bit. I know you guys wanted to kind of talk a little bit about like how they compared, you know, like to an American camp. And Ani, I just wanted to get your take. First of all, domestically, like, do you see any differences in camps in various parts of America, or are they kind of the same? Like just in terms of their makeup, their feel when you go to camps in various parts of the country.
As far as the organized or just the players?
As far as like the organization, the feel of the camp, and maybe that translates over to the players.
Yeah, I just think like when I go to a camp like more up north, for me, it's just a different vibe, because just like if I go to a camp in New York, right? Yeah. Compared to a camp in Texas, it's just like it's all organized, but it's organized in a different way. Like most of the New York guys, like the players, they're coming in. It's kind of more, I would say, like I went to camp in New York, it was a little bit more serious, right? Like the players were like here in Dallas, you have to preach to these kids to go really hard because there's something every weekend here. You know, like I had a camp this weekend. SMU has a camp Saturday. TCU has a camp the next Sunday. Then the Pro 16, those people come in. Like, there's always so much. So there's when I'm in places that don't really host, like cities that don't host like camps weekly or monthly, you see a little bit more of like a hunger and excitement from kids. When you're at places where it's like, this is normal, you got to get these kids to like rev up. I think different parts of the country, you just kind of see that the high level guys, it depends on what camp they do. Like if they're doing MBPA camp, they're going to go really hard. If they do Pangos, you know, they're going to go hard for the first day and a half, right? If they go to the local camps, they're going to BS around. So I think it just depends on the area and the amount of camps and events they have per year or monthly there is where you see like, okay, these kids are serious. These kids are, these kids, we got to work them to get to get going.
No doubt. I understand what you're saying. I do see some differences in camps in various places domestically as well.
Yeah, Ronnie, talk about. Well, you actually got to experience the camp, so I'm just kind of more interested to know and like what you thought, who maybe some of the best players that were there, and what you thought the main differences were. Like, I've been a participant in many camps, but never anything overseas. A lot of overseas prospects sometimes came down here and jumped into some of the events that we had. Ones that wanted to be seen for the most part, but. Well, talk about the main differences that you feel that you saw while you were there, and some of the best players that you can maybe pinpoint.
Yeah, let's. I have 3 main points that I thought were the difference between camps abroad and ones in the state. Again, I have a much bigger sample size here in the States, so maybe as I continue to watch more, it'll change. But the intensity of the warm up and drills is definitely a little bit more noticeable in Europe at this All-Europe camp. And again, Dino's camp is usually a little bit lax compared to some of the other camps in America. So I think the kids wanted to take advantage of this opportunity, and some of them banged. One kid got all banged up. I mean, they were going real hard, So I think they like you said, Ani, in some of the American camps, you gotta get them warmed up. They've done it so many times.
Right.
In certain camps where they feel comfortable, you got to get them going. Maybe the coaches got to, get after them verbally a little bit more. We didn't have to do that there. The kids really wanted to showcase what they, what they had, or their talent level, basically. Mm-hmm. So in front of a bunch of new people, and obviously if you're in Europe, I would think the average kid wants to impress American scouts or people involved in basketball from America. That's pretty normal. So that's pretty obvious. The second main thing is their approach to the game. I always talk about it, and again, you guys probably hear me like a broken record. The over dribbling here in the States.
Yeah.
Just too much. Trying to create everything with the dribble. Well, over there, they're attacking with the pass. They continue to pass the ball. It's almost like they pass it too much on certain possessions. Like, hey, you got to finish that play. So they're maybe taught, or their notion is, I got to make the extra pass. I got to make the extra pass. Mm-hmm. Make the extra pass to make a good play. And sometimes that gets them into trouble. You want to see a player finish. Where here, I think many times people say, I can create. I'll create off the dribble.
Right.
So attacking with the pass is awesome. I was great to see that, instead of trying to over dribble or you get yourself in trouble, get too deep in the key, especially from the guard position or wing, too much dribbling. So the attacking with the pass was great. Again, the kids just need to know when to finish and when to make the right play and not make one pass too many. Again, maybe they're just trying to get a feel from each other. Again, these kids didn't really know each other. They're from 16 different countries. So again, I can see why they were using the pass more than just dribbling. And I think that's just the way they play in their secondary schools as younger kids. That's what they teach them. So that was refreshing to see. That was great to see. And then the third thing is the thing we're talking about kids attack is they're going to have to continue to work on their explosiveness if they want to make it a certain limit. Again, did I see any NBA player? I don't know. I right now, maybe not. But the best player in the camp, the 18-year-old, wasn't an NBA player, like offhand, But can one of the 14-year-olds make it? Maybe, but they got to work on their explosiveness, mainly their first step explosiveness. That we talk about that a lot. That's just, again, is some of that innate? Yes, some of that is genetics. Again, we could have a whole episode about that, right? I mean, we could literally talk about that for an hour, but they got to work on it. They got to work on exploding. And I think some of it's mental, like, hey, yeah, you can beat that guy, beat him efficiently. So those were the main 3 things, Chelsea, is the intensity of warming up to the games, the passing, attacking with the passes, and utilizing an extra pass and just the first step explosiveness.
Well, I want to piggyback on your second point, just about attacking with the pass and the dribble. Obviously, I played overseas for 10 years. I think that speaks a lot to just the style of play of how it is, over there in Europe. Like, our game is predicated a lot off of just isolation and ability to kind of get your own, create your own. And when you go over there, it's just a different ball game. But to that point, though, I think that's why when the European players are able to incorporate, isolation into their game, why it translates so good over here. Like you look at Luka, you look at Jokic, like they all know how to play the right way. And then they know how to ISO and get theirs too. So it's like, I think that's like a lethal combination. I think that, that's kind of where the international game is kind of closing that gap. Because their style of play, and then they're incorporating the isolation and the stuff that we do as well, which is just leads to kind of a deadly combination. And for the last several years, we've seen that. We've seen that in the NBA in terms of talent. A lot of the top players are European, right now. Not that they're the best ever, but I'm saying, Luka, Joker, like Giannis, like these guys are at the top of the league, and maybe it has a little bit to do with their foundation. Now, granted, they did have to work on some of the other stuff we talked about. Like Giannis has always been a freak athlete, but Luka's never been an exceptional athlete, but he's so crafty. So he has that first step, and then he has the ability, where he doesn't have the most explosive first step, but he has the ability to still get wherever he wants. And, kind of same with Joker. He's built like a plumber, but, he can still do whatever he wants. So I'm just saying, I think that those are excellent points. But I think, when these kids, as they start to grow and they develop, because they know how to play the right way, it translates once they're able to catch up with the athleticism and the creativity aspect of the game. That's it.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you that too, Chelsea, since you've been overseas and been there a long time. It's do younger players or fans even ask you like, hey, I'm a good player, like, can you help me get into a college, or can you talk to a coach in America for me? Have you ever been asked that, Chelsea? Like just maybe in Israel?
Quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
All of them have aspirations, kind of going to America and playing in college. I will say there's like a stigma in Israel that I don't know if it's like, everywhere in all these countries, but in Israel, because a lot of their players that did come to America, they weren't super successful. They felt like, that's not the best. They have like this kind of stigma about going to the States, but truly it's them. Like I always tell the young players that inquire about it, like you have to go to the right conference, the right school, the right program, the right level. There's levels in everything, and it's levels beyond D1, D2, D3, NAIA. There's levels within D1. There's high major, there's low major. So if you're an okay talent player and you try to go to UConn, you probably won't have the best experience there because you're not that caliber of player. So I always try to urge to them, I will try to help you to the best of my ability, but we need to get you in where you fit in. And that's where you're going to grow as a player and be able to, kind of excel. And there's been girls as of late that have, went to America and did well. I want to kind of shout out Yarden Garzon. She's a young up and coming talented player in Israel. And she was a catalyst in Indiana's deep run in the tournament this year. She made big shot after big shot after big shot. And, because she went to a program that fit her. She went to a program that was going to, highlight her skill set. And I think that's what it's about. Like most of them want to come over here, though. For the most part, they're just afraid of what can happen. And I think sometimes they're afraid because they're not that good. So when you come over there, you have to, everybody's good in America for the most part, which is why you guys bring us to your country to play, to make the league good. So you're not going to automatically keep a scholarship or keep a spot or get guaranteed minutes just because of whatever, which is kind of what they're used to. So I think it's a little more fear, but deep down, for the most part, a lot of them would like to come to America and expand their game.
Yeah. And I saw that on the men's side as well. This is obviously a men's camp or boys camp. They want to go to a high major prep school or, get in, they know about the Montverde's, Oak Hills and IMGs. They know about those schools a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
They may not be going there, but they are aware.
Yeah.
And I'll just mention, and as we're talking about the camp, the best player in the camp Noah Penda. He's an 18-year-old from France forward. Really unselfish, strong body. He's classified as a 223. I'm not sure if the classes match up, so I would just mention the players' ages. We were just kind of focusing on their ages, but when the camp was done, and according to the conclusion of it, he got a lot of people talking about him. Maybe like some national JUCOs were inquiring, some D1s were even like, "Can this kid's gonna come over here because he's NCAA eligible?" But he said at the end of the camp, he was very clear. He's like, "I'm gonna play in a French B League team, and I'm gonna go pro." Like,
Okay.
that was his whole deal because he was getting some attention. Again, his name is Noah Penda, so he's from Paris, and he's gonna play in a French B League team, and he's going pro. So like he just felt that was the best way for him to continue his career, and that to give him the best chance to play at either an A League team or like the Euro League, or maybe even to come over here. Like he felt that was the best instead of going to college.
Makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So again, there was a big range of players. I talk about them on the .com, ballslife.com. Had a couple stories. I wanted to mention some of the players. Man, their names are very hard for me to say, but I'll say a few of the top players.
Try it anyway.
Yeah, Tomas Stavankovic, 17 years old, from Kaunas, Lithuania. Very good all-around player, 6'7" forward. He's listed as 224. He's 17 years old. I thought he was right there with Noah as the best player in the camp. Again, Noah's teams dominated. He kind of dominated the All-Star game and dominated the camp play. A 14-year-old from Athens. They're in Athens. Really good shooter, 227. Georgios Giantisis. I hope his spelling is G-I-A-N.
You're doing a good job. You're doing better than me.
T-S-I-D-I-S. Georgios. There's a lot of Georgioses in Greece. So, again, he was 6'2", 6'3" guard. Boy, he's a really good shooter. I mean, regardless of where he would be in the world, at his age, he's a really good shooter. Spot-up shooter, really good player. A lot of good young guards, a lot of good from the upperclassmen or the guys who are about 17 or 18. The best players were the wing forwards, but among the younger guys, the guards were really good. Another good guard, he's 226 listed as, and he's 16 years old, from Serbia. Very interesting. He lives in Serbia, but I think his dad is Jamaican. Again, but he lives in Serbia. Noel Emil Lewis Mancock, really talented guard. It's about 6'4". Again, he's listed as a 226. So when you get a chance, go check out I did some player rankings from the camp. Go check those out. We'll continue to publicize them. But again, I don't want to go over I did a top 25. There was only 60 kids in the camp. So, again, go check those out. I talked about a lot of the kids, as many as I could. And it was a good experience, a great experience. Good to see kids from the other part of the country, see how hungry they are. And in closing, I will say, with you mentioned Giannis, I will say that he has put like his stamp on that country. Like the kids love him, but also it gives them confidence in everything they're doing. Like we went to where his court was, where he grew up, like in kind of a poor area of Athens, kind of like a lower income level, and to where he kind of learned. He has his whole decal is on the court. Nike put it on there. Nike has their logo or kind of a swoosh on there. But I mean, even just in other things, you can see how the kids, the black kids or the kids that are dark skinned. Again, I don't know where they're all from. I don't want to get into that, but like kids that are basically black kids that live in Greece, like, dude, it's their confidence, everything they do, they love this dude. Like, and even the people in Greece love him.
Yeah.
That are, more natives. Maybe they're not immigrants. Like that, because again, maybe the fact that he's the NBA MVP and has won a world title, like, I don't know if that would be the case if he was the 7th or 8th man on a team, but like it's really giving the whole country like a shot in the arm in terms of playing basketball or loving the game. Like I went to a professional game as well when I was there. Like there's Giannis jerseys everywhere. So that's a great thing. Great thing for the country. Great thing for the young aspiring players. So on that note, I think we will wrap it up for episode 166. Again, we appreciate everybody being with us back on. We're going to publicize this, and that's kind of going to be our theme. We're going to keep it a little shorter and hit our themes, hit our topics, and then just get done with it. So for Chelsea and Ani, we're out of here for episode 166. Again, subscribe to our YouTube page. Make sure you tell people about it. We'll be here going a little bit more often during the school year and heading into the season, which will be here in a couple months.
Bye, guys.